All right. So I wanted to record this because this is a concept that just came to my mind, and I believe this is the one that I will be using. This is what I use most of the time. So you consider the worst case, the best case, and the medium average, then the outlier worst case and outlier best case scenario. So for example, let's say you have a business, right, which is going smooth. On an average, let's say you are growing like 8%, 10% every year, so that's an average rate of growth, which would be, let's say you are making $10,000 or 100,000. Let's say $10,000 a month. You are making that much on your business, right? Let's say that's your average income. The worst case scenario would be you the competitor comes and just disrupts your market. Now you have to just hammer it, right? The worst to medium case scenario would be, okay, the competitor came in your industry and affected all other competitors of yours, but it did not affect you that much compared to other people, but you still got affected. So that would be the sorry. So that would be the worst to medium case scenario, and the medium is average. It does not matter. Like the competitor came, went away, it did not matter. So that's just average. You are still making $10,000 a month, right? The worst case scenario would be like you would be making way less than 10,000. You'd be making like $1,000. Like that's 90% drop. See, so the medium to worst case scenario would be like you are making 3,000, 5,000, something like that, from 10,000 to 3,000, 5,000 a month. So that's the medium case, medium to worst case, and the medium would be you're making 10,000, you're making 10,000, right? So then there is like medium to best case scenario, which would be, oh, okay, you made 10,000, right, on an average, and then next month you made like 18,000 or 15,000 dollars, right? So that would be the medium to best case scenario. So that's the medium to best case scenario. You got lucky, but you are not super lucky. Now the super lucky, the best case scenario would be you just made from 10,000 to 100,000. On an average you made 10,000, then next month you made $100,000. Wow, right? So that's the super best case scenario. Now there are outlier case scenarios. Now these are the five cases. This is the medium, this is the medium to best, and this is the best case scenario, but this is the medium, then medium to worst, then you have the worst case scenario. So these are five cases scenario within this specific category, but there are two other scenarios which are just once in a lifetime things, like catching lightning in a bottle, some sort of things, right? So the worst case, the outlier worst case scenario, which falls below the worst case scenario, which falls outside of the worst case scenario, right? The spectrum of these five, which sits below the worst case scenario, outlier worst case scenario would be like you lose your business, you lose everything, you lose your house, right? It's like asteroid is going to hit Earth and humanity is going to die, disappear. So that will be the outlier worst case scenario. So right, so the thing is, you lost everything. This month you're making like $10,000 a month. Then something happened. I don't know what happened. Then the outlier worst case scenario would be you lost everything. You lost your house, you lost your business, you lost your wife, you lost everything. Whatever you had, you lost everything. You went back to zero. You became a beggar. That's the outlier worst case scenario. Now this exact opposite of this spectrum. So we had outlier worst, then medium, worst to medium, then medium, then medium to best, and then best. Now the outlier best scenario comes up above the best scenario. So that would be, let's say you're making 10,000 a month, and then medium to best would be you made around 15,000. Then the best scenario would be you made 100,000 a month. Then the outlier best scenario would be like you made 10 million somehow. I don't know, some billionaire found out and he wanted to give you like a check of 10 million, 20 million, and you just got the check. 10 million, 20 million, 100 million, whatever is the outlier case scenario in that scenario. So that would be the outlier case scenario, and these are the spectrum I always check whenever I'm checking, like what's the, like first we anchor everything at the medium. What's the medium that's happening or going to happen? Then we check, okay, what's the medium to worst or worst to medium? Then we check the worst, then we check the outlier worst, and then we check from medium. Medium is the anchor here, medium is the key. Then we check from medium to best, then from medium to best. So that's the best case scenario, and from above best would be outlier best case scenario, right? So most of the people will fall into this medium and medium to worst case scenario. But if there is something is happening in economy, or something is happening in your industry, then they would fall into worst case. But people rarely fall in the outlier worst, and people rarely fall into outlier best. So whenever we are making decision based on average, and we want to move towards from average to best case scenario. Sometimes not sometimes, but most people try to be in the best case scenario, but they fall into this medium to best case scenario, and most people who are trying hard fall into that medium to best case scenario. So we are not outlier, right? The outlier best case scenario would be like you became Elon Musk in 5 years. All right, so that's the outlier best case scenario, but that's not possible. Like, it's once in a lifetime moment. So that was the decision metrics I was making, like to make a decision. Okay, what's going to happen? What's the worst? What's the worst to medium? What's the medium, which should be the current thing, or where we anchor everything? Then from medium to best, okay, what could be the medium to best? And medium would be the same thing, right? Whatever you had. Then from the medium to best would be the result. Most people fall into medium to best or medium to worst scenario, and or either average. Most people fall into these three categories: average, medium to worst, and medium to best. These three scenarios. Then the best scenarios happen sometimes, not all the time, sometimes when you get lucky, like when everything is right, best scenario happens. But outlier best case scenario would be like you just won $100 million lottery ticket. Like when it was your, like you just thought, okay, let me scratch a lottery ticket, let me just spend $50 today. Then you scratched a lottery ticket and you got like $100 million or $1 billion in your first try. That's the outlier best case scenario, and that does not happen mostly. So most people fall into these three categories: average, medium to worst, or medium to best. But we always have to account for these five in a spectrum and the outliers outside of the spectrum. So that's all I wanted to say, because that's the decision matrix I was thinking when I was just checking here. So yeah, that's all.